Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, recently I was clicking around European selling sites, bookstores, as one does when one is interested in Tarot de Marseille and antique Italian decks, and I happened to stumble across, and I really mean stumble across, this wonderful little package, which just arrived this week. So I took the plastic off and I was about to open it up, and I thought, no, I want to do this on camera because I think I'm going to be gushing all over this. Now, what is it? It is called, in Italian, Gli antichi Tarocchi Italiani di Gumppenberg. Now, this is the Gumppenberg Tarot, and it's not that easy to find. But this version is available, I believe, it's available through Amazon in Italy, but it's also available through the Book Depository, I believe. So, if you're interested in this deck, stay tuned. I'll turn the camera down and we'll take a look. And if you're still interested in the deck, I think you can still get it. So, let's take a look at what I think will be a gorgeous deck. Follow me. Welcome back. Here we are with Gli antichi Tarocchi Italiani di Gumppenberg, con un libro guida e un prezioso mazo di 58 carte. Yeah, so it's got a guidebook. It has 78 cards, and we see on the front. Oh, this has got a very nice rose. A light soft touch finish, I think is what we're calling it now. It's not a very heavy rose petal finish, but it's still got that somewhat rose petal feel to it. The color is beautiful, isn't it? And on the front we have 3 cards, Il Mondo. So we see that the cards are going to be titled in Italian, the world. We have the 6 of swords, and then we have the star card, but you'll notice it says le stelle. That's plural feminine in Italian. So it's the stars. And before we go in, let me show you the box a little bit more. Here's the side. I love this color. It's kind of what do we call this? It's not a steel blue. It's got a little bit of a green, but it's not aqua. It's not exactly turquoise, but it's a green blue, a very deep green blue. It's beautiful. And it's got this silver foil stamping on it. On the back, we have some information. You see it was 25 euros for me. I think on Book Depository, it's around 40-ish US dollars, if you're interested in getting it there. But I purchased this from an Italian Amazon site. So let's get into the box. The box opens up like a clamshell, but it's not magnetized. It's a pressure box, pressure closure box. And here is the book. You can see that the inside of the box is just plain paper, but a very pretty color, very nicely finished. So let me pull the book out. I don't want to show you the cards yet. So here's the book. Book, very nicely done. It's got a little bit of something here. Don't know what that is, but it's going away. It's going away. Okay, so the cover's got a very nice foil stamping on it. Same as the cover of the box. And if we go into the book, what do we see? Okay, nice paper. Clear printing. We've got the introduction. And then the origin of the Tarot. So we've got a 2-page introduction to what the Tarot, how the Tarot began. Here is the Milanese Tarot of Ferdinando Gumppenberg. Very short description of that. And then we have using this for effective divinization, for divining, yeah? And il mazzo, I'm not sure what that means. but it gives a short description, and then it gives you some rituals for the cards, I believe. Una buona dose de volontà per apprendere il significante, lamento la paciencia. Okay, I can read Italian, but it takes me a while to figure out what I'm saying when I read it. So it gives you some ideas for how to use the cards, I believe, reading, what to do. Yeah, a little bit about cartomancy, a little bit about divination, and then we get into the cards, the major arcana. And let's see. So it doesn't go right into the cards. It gives you a description of what the major arcana is, personal numbers, amulets. It's got little boxes for curiosities, things you might be curious about. Listing of the names of the major arcana, and a couple of keywords. That's very useful. And then we go into each card. And again, this is all in Italian. We have Il Bagato. It starts with the magician, and it gives you some amuletti. I think maybe this is symbols, description, significance, meaning, and then combinations. That's good. So we've got at least 2 pages for each card. Then we go to La Papessa, and then L'Imperatrice. We'll keep going through the book. Now, if you read Italian, this is actually going to be a very nice little book, I believe. Okay, so I'm sorry, went into the minors without even noticing it. And then we have Il Matto at the end. Now, you'll notice that the matto is not numbered, as should be, right? And then we go into the minor arcana, and description of the minor arcana, what it means, what the coins mean, what the spades mean, or the spadi, the swords mean, the wands, the cups, and then a chart of what each number means. So if you do number, suit, correspondences, and then we go with the ace. We've got a page for each of the minor arcana. That's nice, with the significance and combinations, little black and white thumbnail of each card. And then we go through this to, okay, we've got spreads at the back. So we've got a 3-card spread. We've got a 16-card spread. We've got a 5-card, couple of 5 cards. We've got an 8-card spread. These are very interesting. A lot of spreads. Very nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. Gioco per salute. So I guess this is a spread for health, 15-card spread. Gioco per tenere la fortuna, so spreads for gaining fortune, good luck. And then the index. Nice book, very nice book. If you read Italian, I might suggest this set just for the book included. I think it's worth the money. So we've got the book, again, very nicely done. The creator is Isa Donelli, just so you know. Then we go to the cards. Now, the cards are split. They're big cards, too. So let me take them out of the box, unwrap them. We've got paper wrapping, which is much better than plastic, if you ask me. Whoa, okay, so let's see. There is tape on this. There we go. There we go. So that's liberated. And let's see. Here we have the other stack. Okay. So let's see. I believe I want to start with, yes. Okay. So here is what the back of the cards looks like. Now this is the back. Not reversible. That is very true. It's a very simple, very plain back, but actually I like it. Let's see what it looks like on camera. I think I can zoom in just a little bit. Let me pause and zoom you in. Here we are, all nicely zoomed in, and you can see that it's got a very aged look to the backs, right? Milano, it's produced in Milan, and you can probably tell that these are large cards, right? So This card is from the CBD Tarot de Marseille, which is my standard comparison tarot deck. I don't think I'll be doing well, I might have just changed my mind. I might be doing a comparison. This is a deck that was created by Yoav Ben Dov, and I highly recommend it if you are a beginner to Tarot de Marseille. It's a wonderful, very clean, very easy to see deck. And it's not expensive, and it's very good. And it's got a companion book that is also very good for a beginner, also written by Yoav Ben Dov, who has unfortunately passed away. But this is now published by US Games, and it has a very standard US Games Tarot de Marseille size to it. So let me put this title card up against this one, and you can see the size difference, right? The Tarocchi Italiani di Gumppenberg is much larger, much larger. I have large hands, so these cards are going to be even a stretch for me to shuffle. But I think that size is going to be very nice when we look at the cards. Okay. I think we're going to do a side-by-side. I just changed my mind about that because I think it's good to see differences, especially when we're looking at differences with a standard, those who know Tarot de Marseille know that the most commonly reproduced deck is the Conver deck. Now that seems to be changing because there are more publishing houses and independent houses that are slowly starting to reproduce decks from the Tarot de Marseille and antique Italian styles. And so there's starting to be more diversity even in these decks. But for a long time, the Nicholas Conver deck was probably the most often reproduced deck. So this is what the Batelier looks like in a Conver deck. And this is what our Barato looks like. I'm sorry, not Barato, Il Bagatelle. Now this is very interesting Italian. Bagatelle. There's usually an O or an A at the end of a noun, but this is bagatelle. And you notice there's a period here. And we see that this is a facsimile deck, right? Now you can see the blurring, you can see where the coloration is not very even, right? But still it's a very well-made, well-preserved deck. Let's see if I can give you a date for this deck. The Tarot de Gumppenberg was produced originally, I believe, in in 1814. So it's not that old, right? This is an 1814 deck, so it's pretty well preserved. Yeah, we see the wand here in the hand. We see now here we see in the Batelier, we see that he could be or she, if we want to go, or they could be a street magician or a person who does tricks to get people's money. In this deck, this person looks more like a cobbler. Now we see shoes on the table. There are tools for cobbling. This could be for fixing shoes, but it could also be something to pull teeth. This person actually looks like a kind of tradesman rather than a mountebank, a street magician. But look at the colors in this deck. This is the reason why I wanted to get this deck, is the colors, the soft colors, this kind of peaches and the russets and the greens, a very soft green, yeah, compared to the more primary colors of many French decks. And here we have La Papessa, or La Papesse, and, oops, I'm sorry, I took two cards. La Papessa. Yeah, a much softer card, but we got basically everything here. We got the book, we got the screen behind her head, we've got the tiered papal crown, we've even got shoes pointing out with crosses on the bottom, right? We've got browns, we've got greens, we've got a very rich, deep blue, which is very similar, not the same, but very similar to the blue on the book and the box, right? Which is probably why they chose those colors. Very soft borders, because they're very old borders. Okay, here we have L'Imperatrice. L'Imperatrice. Now notice there's a kind of a veil or a screening in front of her feet, right? Which is interesting, with some kind of markation on it. But we've got the shield, we've got the scepter, we've got a crown, very soft colors, browns, the browns, the orangish colors, not really orange, the russet colors, maybe a persimmon. And the expressions on their faces, very, very natural, very soft, very comfortable looking expressions. And here we go with l'Imperator, or l'Imperatore. And we see that his face is kind of rubbed off, right? But we've got him seated in a chair a little bit more naturally than in the Conver deck. Yeah? He looks a little bit more comfortable seated in his chair, holding a scepter. We got the shield. They're looking the same direction. We don't see any plants in this one. Yeah, this is all tile or marble floor. And here we go with Le Pape or Il Papa. Now we've got 3 supplicants or 3 acolytes. We got his little foot sticking out there. We got crosses on the gloves, just like in the Conver. We got the same cross. We got a very similar papal crown. But notice this person's hand. No, there's a 4th person here. I didn't notice it. So there's a person here with an arm coming out. There's a person here with kind of in a prayer gesture, and 2 tonsured people here. Very interesting. A lot more people in this card. But we've got the pillars behind. The popes are facing in opposite directions, which is interesting. But you notice how even for an Italian deck, you don't see colors seeping beyond lines as often in Italian decks, especially as we get closer to the 19th, 20th centuries. But here, this is definitely a wood block print, right? We see the color coming out of the lines. A reproduction of a wood block print. This deck is not printed by wood block. Oh, I didn't talk about cardstock. This cardstock is, it's matte. It's got a bit of a waxy feel, just slightly. It's going to wear very well. It's very flexible. It's not too thick, but it is thicker than US Games cardstock. But still, because of its size, it'll shuffle very beautifully if you can get your hands around it. We'll play with shuffling later on. Here we have Liamanti, Lamarue. Now this is singular, Lamarue. This is plural, Liamanti. And Liamanti could be 2 men, although we don't see 2 men, but at least 1 man and another person. That other person could be male or female in Romance languages, yeah? So this is the masculine plural. Notice the burst behind the angel here. The angel does not look blindfolded to me, but it does look like the angel has a headband, doesn't it? The arrow is pointing down towards the male's foot, and we've got this person here with a crown on instead of laurels. Yeah, we have this person here looking younger. So some people read this as the person of beauty and the person of money, and this person has to make a choice. And we could see that in this rendition or this iteration of the card, right? Love the wings on the Cupid up here. The bow looks really short or very small, doesn't it? And I wonder why this color went this way instead of maintaining the orange or carrying the blue over. That's an interesting thing, is it not? Okay, moving right along. I love how we've got the feet. There are a lot of feet in this deck which are often not visible. And we have Il Carro instead of Les Chariots. Yeah, we've got the horses ostensibly facing in two directions, but we've got something interesting between the two horses here, right? It looks like, and it's not really a bridle. It looks like it might have originally been a saddle with, they're joining something with a lion's face and other ornamentation, maybe. There's this thing down at the bottom which is interesting as well. I wonder what that is. But we see the chariot. The wheels do seem to be facing forward, where in the convert deck they seem to be facing sideways, right? We got the guy with the person with the scepter. We got a crown. Now we have little faces on the epaulets on the shoulders. We've got a scalloped top, which is similar to Tarot de Marseille version 1, whereas this is definitely style 2, right? We don't have any information here inside the decoration on the chariot, though. Interesting, beautiful. And we go on to Justice, or La Justicia. And sitting on a very easy to see, kind of I don't want to say a plinth or a stele, but and it's not really it kind of looks like a platform, doesn't it? It looks like a platform that a column could be rising up from. And it looks like there is we don't see something that looks like it's probably a chair in this deck, yeah? This looks like it's the back of a chair of some sort. There's no chair. She's got wings, definite wings in this version. We got the balances, and we see that inside of the balances, they're colored the same color as the person's skin. Yeah. Also, the backs of the wings begin with the same color as the person's skin, right? Hands are colored the same as the face, which is interesting. We've got bare feet, perhaps. I love the clothes in these figures. Notice the band around the top of the bodice, just under her breasts, with a fleur de lis, which is interesting. Not very often. I mean, we see fleur de lis. I usually think of France, but this is an Italian deck, remember, and she's got a definite crown at the top. Beautiful, beautiful justice card. And l'ermite. We can see the candle in the lantern here, where we don't in the CBD or the convert deck. We see his feet with sandals. Wonderful details in the deck. Look at the wavy hair. I love that. And the rod is very clear, very natural looking greenish color. We've got two tones to the ground. It looks like there's a definite hood going on here, a hood that is described in the picture. And we notice that there's a hook at the top of the lantern, which I don't think I've seen very often. I love this deck. This is just gorgeous. Oh, wow. Okay, so Route de la Fortune, period. There wasn't enough room for the whole name. Interesting. Here we have La Route de Fortune. The wheels are facing in different directions, aren't they? But we've got an animal, a similar looking animal going up on the right, but we don't see anything coming down on the left in this deck, do we? On the other hand, there is a torch on this side. This figure looks much more human than this one. Yeah, we've got wings, definite wings. We've got a scepter in the hand. We've got what looks like a crown. There's a crown on this somewhat sphinx monkey looking creature here. We see that the wheel was originally completed. In a lot of Tarot de Marseille decks, in the Wheel of Fortune, the crank handle goes to here, but it is not completed on this side. We don't see the crank handle on this one, but we do see the full axle. And look at the variations of color on the ground. That's so interesting. So interesting. Now, the printing of the numbers is very blurry, but remember, this is a facsimile of a deck, of the original deck. Here we have La Forza. They're very similar, although this person has their hand farther inside of the mouth of the lion. And it's much more clearly a lion than this creature seems to be to me. But we've got this somewhat lemniscate shape of the hat. I love the expression on this person's face. A little bit concerned, a little bit, I'm not sure what okay. So what I see here is this person not being able to see what's inside of the lion's mouth, but feeling around thinking, what's in there? Kind of like, I'll help you, lion. I'll help you get whatever is stuck in there out. Do you see that? Like this person is trying to help the lion that might have been choking on something. And here we have the bottom, the kind of a waistband on the bodice again here, which matches the collar. Lovely, lovely deck. And here we go, le pendu. Le pendu, I mean la peso. La peso. And here, I love I love the hair on this one. We got the legs shaped like a 4. We've got the 2 bars and a bar on, 2 bars. The 2 trunks, perhaps, and a branch connecting them. We have foliage here at the bottom, brown foliage, but foliage. I love the colors on their jacket. And we notice that there are 2 different colors of leggings, right? There's the brown legging and the green legging, which match up with the tunic on top. Although you do also notice, as I do, that it goes from green to brown to green, right? This person is probably someone of a wealthy family, as is this person. And the eyes are closed, looking very peaceful to me. And here we go with card 13. I'm glad that there's no name. Sometimes decks will add a name in some variations, but I'm glad there's no name on this one as well. I like that. We've got, instead of full faces on the ground, we've got skulls and we've got bones. I don't see any hands. We've got the legs of the skeleton. We've got a blue leg and a red leg, as if they were wearing 2 different colored leggings, right? We got a variation at the top. We've got so much color in the skeleton. And the scythe facing in opposite directions. I'm curious. I like to notice whether, I'm going to pull this aside because I like to see whether the death image faces the same direction as the fool image. Okay, so I've set them aside and I'll pull them back in just a little bit. Here we have temperance. 2 pots, water flowing between them. We notice there's more of a hat on this angel's head. We see the breasts of this angel much more clearly defined. Much more difficult to confuse this with a male angel. We've got water here in the back. Bare feet. Love seeing the feet in this deck. And wow. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You notice that the black from the border connects with this urn. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Moving right along to, no, that's right. 15 is after 14, is it? Wow, look at that devil. Wow. Okay, so very standard type 2 devil here. This one is kind of more of a type 1 or a Swiss deck devil. There are no genitalia showing. But there's no face in the belly either. Notice how the arms of the imps are a different color on the, I want to say upstage, away from us. Yeah, the arms that are closer to us are the same color as the rest of their body, whereas the ones in the distance are darker. And maybe that's to give us a little bit of forced perspective. Notice is that hair in the shape of flames, or are they flames on the devil's belly? Notice the blotches for red nipples here too. The tongue sticking out. Love the ears. The horns, we've got bat wings. I love that. The scepter is a very different looking scepter. It kind of looks like a plant to me. Does it look like a plant to you? There's no flame on the top of it, whereas we have a flame here. And this devil's pedestal is much higher than this one, right? Perhaps this devil is more honored than this one. Or maybe this devil is closer to their minions than this one is. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, lovely. Okay, so moving on to the tower. Now you see in the Italian deck, it's actually called the tower, yeah? La Torre. We have one person actually falling out of a very door-like structure here. Notice the brick color. Maybe this was supposed to be a hinged shutter of some kind, maybe. But we see brick here instead. I don't know. Maybe someone got confused. But we see this person falling out. We see this person already landed naked on the ground. And instead of little dots coming down from the sky, we've got what could be this exploding. Yeah, it looks like this could be pieces of the building. We see the energy coming from above here, definitely, but we see a face in the sun or the celestial body, and the lightning coming directly from the mouth. And this looks like a palm leaf or some kind of plant life to me. Does it look like that to you? Interesting. So interesting. Okay, yes, we do have little circular dots too. So we've got it all. We've got it all. Here we go with les stelles, the stars, or l'étoile, the star. There is a bird in the tree. Very different looking bird, but there is a bird in the tree. And we have the two urns pouring into the water. Both feet are on land in this one. However, you notice that the water is a different color, which could be something that could be meaningful for us. We see that the stars are different colors. This one kind of looks like an egg yolk to me, just saying. but there we go. And there's just a very small indication of water in this card. There's so much more land. And only one tree, whereas we get two in the Conver deck. And notice the red nipples here. I just noticed that. And beautiful hair. Okay, next it will be the moon. Oh, look at that moon card. Oh, I love that moon card. Look at the crustacean coming up from the water. We've got red little claws. We've got a red body. This water looks like it could be a river, instead of and looking more natural than this, which looks like it's a human construction of some sort, a pool, a pond, a port. But this is a very natural water flow. To me, that's what it looks like. We've got two different kinds of dogs. I mean, this one looks more, I don't know, groomed to me than this one. Maybe this one has longer fur than this one. I'm not sure. But they look like two different dogs, two different towers in the background, and a full-on frontal moon, which is a type 1 moon, right? And notice how the rays of the moon, for one, are horizontal, but they come down into this point here, which is interesting. Very interesting. Okay, to the sun, le soleil, and il sole. And in many Italian decks, you'll notice that instead of being two similar figures, there's one male and one female looking figure. Or at least that's the way that they're presenting. Yeah? Pants and skirt. I mean, doesn't necessarily mean gender, but that's the way they seem to be presenting themselves. And you notice that underneath this person's skirt, there are pants of some kind. Yeah? But definitely breasts indicated here, where it's more difficult to see any breasts that might be there. And we've got the bursts coming out of a very, very interestingly colored sun. The face is just hilarious to me. I love the nose on the sun and the lips. He seems to be reaching for something at her waist, doesn't he? I wonder what that is. Well, she's maybe groping his butt. If this is a she and this is a he, that's what I see. Okay, so moving on to il giudizio. Il giudizio, le jugement. Okay, we've got people coming out of tombs. We've got this figure a little bit larger than this one. Yeah, but we do have an indication of a kind of tonsure going on. Indicated, I should say. The old man is on a different side in this deck. Yeah, the more female-looking figure and the old man-looking figures are reversed. But we've got the horn. We don't have a flag on the horn in this one. We got wings. We got a little halo. We got a bigger. Actually, what it looks like is there's a larger halo and a smaller halo. So this halo seems to be instead of this large cloud formation. Although no, we've got clouds down here too. So we've got a lot of stuff going on in this card. We've got a lot of stuff indicated. And we do see the rays of perhaps a stellar entity coming out from below, but just the very bottom. Oh, wow. Okay. And le monde or il mondo. Okay, so both of them have very similarly styled breasts. Both of them have a wrap around them, hiding their genitalia. Very similar, although this laurel wreath has 4 breaks, right? There's the top and the bottom, similar to this one, but 2 on the sides. The 4 beings, evangelists, angels, whatever, fixed signs of the zodiac are in the same places. Now we got the lion, we got the bull, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius. It's all there. This person doesn't seem to have a wand, which is an interesting change. Although I do notice that you see this red and green. We've got red and green. Now they're switched a little bit, but they're both there in different shades. Okay, so now the fool, il matto. Okay, so different. But first let's look at the fool. We've got, I don't know. I wouldn't call this a cat. I wouldn't call it a dog. I'm not sure what I would call this creature. So a lot of people see this as possibly a cat. Doesn't look like a cat. Doesn't look like a dog either. Looks like this creature is actually sniffing the butt of il matto, doesn't it? Not grabbing at the pants, but sniffing the butt. A very much more friendly gesture on the part of the animal. We got the bag over the shoulder. We've got interesting clothing here, right? We've got there are no bells. I don't see bells. There's a feather in the cap. We've got foliage coming out from the sides. We've got a skirting of variegated, 2-colored skirting. We've got 2-colored pants. And this looks more like a pouch or a what do we call that? A pocket to me than a rip. Now this person's clothes look intact to me. Now, what was I saying about the devil? Not the devil, death. Card 13. You'll notice that in the convert deck, the fool and death are facing the same direction. And you notice that this thing here is very similar to this thing here. So oftentimes I will see correspondence between these 2 cards. Now the fool is at the beginning, but this is also an echo of the fool, clearing away shit. Yeah? However, in this deck, in the Gumppenberg, the devil and not the devil, card 13 and the fool are facing in opposite directions. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult to see that connection for me. Interesting. Okay. But again, this is a facsimile. it was not redrawn or corrected in any way. So moving on from the major arcana to the minor arcana, and this one goes to the wands. So let's go to the wands over here. Let's see, where are my wands? My wands are backwards over, no, they're not backwards. I just skipped it. I skipped. No, I didn't skip. What did I do? Just a moment. No, okay, no, not just a moment. No, that's right. What's going on? Where are my wands? The swords. They're the, okay. Sorry. My brain was having a moment, apparently. Here we go. Okay, I should have put you on pause. Wands, very similar. Very, very similar. Very similar coloration, although you notice that the crenellation around the hand is much smaller, looking much more like a sleeve than this one. And then we go to the twos. You'll notice that the Gumppenberg is very similar to a Marseille deck. Yeah, the wands are very similar shape. Now the floral decorations are very similar. Coloration is different, of course, but very similar. Here we go with the threes. I love this. Yay! We've got those dots. We've got the extra little dots, which often come in some Italian decks, usually Bolognese, but this is, I believe, a Milanese deck. I think this was produced originally in Milan. And this deck also has the little dotties. Just a moment. Let me look at the book and double check to see if this is a Milanese deck. Yeah. Il gioco Milanese e Italiane. Yeah. Yes, this is Milano. Okay. So, okay, now, I'm sorry, I believe this could be an 1830 deck instead of 1814, but Milano, yes. So, anywho, we've got those extra little dots, which are in rust in this deck, but sometimes look red. And okay, interesting. We have them in the 4 as well. We got a little extra one down here. We had a little bit of a smudge here, and this could just be bleed, but these are not bleed from anything else. These are just random dots, right? I've always wanted to have a deck with these extra dots, and I forgot that this deck had them. Okay, so here we go. The 5 has them in the same place as well. Interesting. But very similar. Although we do notice that, okay, so the back baton is white in the center, right? That odd baton is white in the center, as for the 3 as well. I hadn't noticed that. Is white here. And we've got 2 different colors. We've got green and blue instead of just light blue. And the floral decoration, while similar, is still different. You know, we don't have these little flourishes here at the joining. They just like these look much more natural, like they're really growing out of there. These look like they were an invention to me. And here we go. Whoa, missed the 6. Okay, here's the 6. And don't see any extra dots here, but very similar floral decorations. Aren't these colors gorgeous? And here we have we're going right along. The 9, I'm sorry. Oh, look at that. Okay, so 6 VI, 7 IIV. So in some decks, some of these numbers get all flipped around. Yeah, they're printed in reverse. So we got that in this deck as well. Let's see if it continues to the 8 of Wands as well. Yep, we've got the 8 of Wands printed in reverse, the 8. Someone not being all that careful. Or it might have been intentional. It might be that by the time this deck was printed, it had happened so often that people thought, well, it's supposed to be done that way. And here, oh my gosh, even the 9 is printed that way. A lot of decks I think will correct by the time of the 9, but here we got that. Got a little extra smudge, but I think that's just from this bar here. And the 10. Ta-dam! How rough these X's are, yeah? They're almost like a child's hand stamp. And perhaps they could have been a hand stamp. Here we go with the valet de bâton, fin de bastoni. Very similar, yeah? This wand, this branch looks a little rougher to me than this one does. A much simpler looking hat. Not as wealthy looking as this valet looks to me, but very similar. The detail in the clothing is beautiful, but we do get the 2 different colored leggings here, which is nice, in the pantaloni, the pantaloons. Here we go. So they don't know how to shrink their font apparently in this deck, so it won't all fit, so they abbreviated Cav di Bastoni. Looking the similar direction, although the guy looks much, the cavalier, the knight, looks much bigger than the horse. I feel sorry for this horse, having to carry such a large human being. Interesting. Beautiful. Love the saddle on this horse. Or the blanket, at least. Love the faces. Very soft looking faces. Even this face looks a little rougher. And it looks a little bit older to me. Does it look older to you? Does the page look older than the knight to you? Maybe it's because of the lines around the jaw. Here we go to the queen. Oh my goodness. That is some bodice. Queen of Wands. Look at how low cut her dress is. That's beautiful. Love her hair flowing like that. And we got so many layers of garments. We got her foot sticking out right down there below. And we got, I think that's supposed to be a fleur-de-lis. Maybe not, but it looks like it's supposed to be a kind of fleur-de-lis. Maybe not. Okay, what do you think? Does that look like a fleur-de-lis to you? Let me know in the comments below. But we noticed the kind of plant-like pattern to this part. And then the herringbone pattern to this part. Interesting. And here is our king. Okay, so in the king, in some decks, a king will have a coin that gives the imprint of where the deck was produced, and this is Lombardia. Circa 7, okay, no, not circa 70, but it's got a tax stamp on it. Gumppenberg, Milan, okay, I think this is supposed to be Milano. Re de Bastoni. We got a very rough looking wand here. Oh, actually, the queen also had a bit of a rough looking wand as compared to the more refined convert deck. And the king has a very refined looking wand in the convert deck, but he's got basically a club in the Gumppenberg. Okay, so now we are at coins. Oh, we're in line. That's wonderful. Good luck. So, coins. Very simple, very rudimentary, but beautiful in its way. And after the 2 of coins, we don't get any information here. We usually get, of course, the name of the pub printer and when it was printed in the 2 of coins in a lot of Terre de Marseille decks. Here we have just the banner going around with no information. But beautiful design. And here we go with the 3. Okay, now, notice, we got the coins in the traditional direction, yeah, 1 at top, 2 below. But notice how the plants are somewhat different. This coloration almost makes me think this card could be intended to be this way. This kind of a decoration doesn't look like an up-pointing decoration to me, but rather a hanging decoration to me. But I'm going to keep it this way. Just for your information, I'm going to keep it this way in the deck. And I won't be using reversals with this deck because it's too difficult to tell, especially for the wands, what is upright and what is reversed. For example, this way, I might be able to memorize that this splotch is here and there's no splotch here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep it this way, and I'm not going to shuffle reversals into this deck. In case you were curious. Okay, going on to the 4. And instead of a shield, we've got what is often at the top of a, I'm sorry, it's not the top of a center. It's the pair. It's, what am I saying? In English, what I'm trying to say is, this orb is often one of the 2 tools or the signs of rulership. Now there's the scepter and the orb. And this is the orb of rulership with the cross on top and this decorative band for the 4. Lovely. So this deck is just rough enough to make it look or clearly recognizable as a facsimile, but clean enough to not be difficult to read or not be difficult to see what's going on for me. And this little bit of bleeding outside, I like. And notice we've got 2 dots here. 2 extra little dots in the 5. And here we go to the 6. Look at that. We got the Tarot de Marseille arrangement, similar decoration, although we don't have 2 thingies going out, and we do have numbers. Why didn't I notice that before now? Typically in Tarot de Marseille, the coins do not have numbers. They're not numbered, but they are numbered in this one, in this deck. And here we go with the 7 of coins, and the same layout, same or similar decorative elements. We do have the number, and the number is in the correct order, VII. So far it was just the wands with that. Oh, here we go. But here it gets flipped again. In the 8, we got IIV instead of VII. III. Someone was smoking something interesting when they were doing the numbers. Very, very similar, although the decoration doesn't go all the way to the top or bottom or to the sides. Can't go to the sides because of the numbers, but it doesn't go all the way top and bottom. So these coins are less separated than these coins. And here we go with the 9. Now the 9 is in correct order. Yeah. Here we have IIIV, but this is VIII. So this number is fine. No problems here. And you notice that the decoration is different here. Now we don't have any bands separating these coins. We've just got these 2 flowers. Whereas in the typical Tarot de Marseille, these coins are very separated. Now this one is very separate. This one is not so separate. And the 10, again with a much more simple decorative element. Just one little flower here in the center, instead of all this stuff being drawn. Okay, going on to the page of coins, and instead of being printed on the side, it's printed at the bottom. But we've got one in the hand, and the one on the ground is behind him instead of in front. That could mean something. Page looking very youthful to me. Hand on the belt, just like in this one. But we've got breeches and leggings, or maybe bare legs, and very, very teeny little feet. Very cute little young man, or young valet. Cavalier de Denier. Cavaldi dan. Not enough room for the words. Not enough room for all the letters. So we've got the Knight of Coins, one floating up in front of their eyes. Older looking knight. Love his beard. I love the clothes. And the sword is much shorter here than this one. And in this one, this knight is holding what looks to be a wand, whereas this is definitely a sword. The bridle and the decorations on the horse are much simpler in this deck than in the convert. We got plants in the back. I really love this knight's face. I'd like to meet this guy. So we got a stirrup. Same color as his foot, but we got a stirrup. Okay, the Queen of Coin. Yes, we have the Queen of Coin with a scepter, very similar. Look at this hat with crown. It's huge in comparison. Very comfortably holding the coin up. Very soft but very pensive looking face. Looking like there's fur here. Yeah, like there's a fur blanket maybe, or a fur trimmed cloak maybe for a cold castle. So this queen has got her comfort. She's got everything she needs for her comfort. And here we go with the Roi de Denier, or the Re di Denari. No? Leg crossed, much more crossed than in the French deck. Love the vest over what looks like a skirt. Does it look like this king is wearing a skirt above their breeches? This looks kind of like a skirt to me. Love the hat. And notice the crown-like thing is not centered over the head, yeah? There's this huge hat and this crown kind of stuck off on the side. That's gonna fall, if you ask me. Nice necklace. I love another beard. I love the beard. I love the very natural wave of this beard. Look at the cuffs. Lovely, lovely. Okay, and moving on to the Ace of Cups. Okay, let me find the Ace of Cups. Here we go. So we've got a... Okay, so what do we see? This oftentimes is the heavenly city, the heavenly Jerusalem, the city on top of the chalice. All those religious symbols are seen in this cup, and we've got something similar, but not quite. Not quite. This looks much more festive and decorative and freer looking. Yeah, these branches, maybe oak branch leaves here in the center. The towers, you notice that each one is just a little bit different. Such a much softer looking cup, almost not looking like a cup actually. It's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful cup. I love this ace. We've got indications of that water flowing out of the sides here a little bit, but the color's not watercolor. I mean, it's not the color of water, is what I'm trying to say. The color variations at the bottom. So much attention was put into making these cards. Okay, so we have the card that gives us information in the Two of Cups. And Fabbrica di Milano. So we know definitely this was made in Italy, in Milan. Instead of these kind of dragonfish things, we've got what look like lion heads to me, off a very, very structured thing. Like, this is not even supposed to be imagined as natural. This is a scepter with two arms going off of it. At the top of each arm of this scepter, there are two lion heads. And at the top of this, it could be maybe a vase or a flower arrangement, perhaps. Two cups, open cups, we see, with red on the inside. Could be wine, could be blood, your choice. Less decorated than the convert deck, for sure. Looking a little bit more rustic, but I like that. Here we go with the 3 of cups. Look at that. Now, let me see. Okay, yes. So, all of the cups are going to have this little green splotch in the front with darker sides. Instead of this carrying down of the yellow or the orange here, we've got a little green, like an inset emerald, perhaps. The 4 of cups. I'm sorry, the 4 of cups. Similarly decorated. Very similarly decorated. These cups look like they'll hold a lot more wine than these cups will, if you ask me. Here we go with the 5 of cups, and look at this. Okay, so in the convert deck, the floral decoration is coming up behind the cup in the center, right? The decorations in the 5 of the Gumppenberg deck, the floral decorations are coming out of the central cup. Yeah, this thing is coming out of the cup. We don't get that Fabergé egg-looking thing here in the center. This looks like a plant. The plant life in this deck seems so much more natural to me. Less like drawn decoration and more like drawn living stuff. If that difference makes sense to you. And here we go with the 6 of cups. Okay, the 6 is in the correct order, VI. Same layout as the Terre de Marseille. Same star-like flower in the center. Cups wide open. Here we go with the 7. Number is in the correct order. We've got the central cup here. 3 on top, 3 on the bottom. And here we go with the 8. Whoa, I'm sorry. Where's my 8? My 8 is stuck. Okay, here's my... Oh, now that's interesting. Okay, so no floral element to this 8. Not just 3 on top, 3 on the bottom, 2 in the center. 8 is in the correct order, VIII. No need to say III in this deck yet. Let's take a look at the 9. Because normally it's the 9 that's this bare. And the 9 is bare as well. Oh, but again, this 9 is not bare. Forgot about that. Okay, so this 9, we've got a lot of floral foliage drawn in. Bare 9. Oh, look at that. Okay, interesting differences in this card. What are they? Let's go to the 9 of coins. Let's get the 9 of coins back out here. That's the 10, the 9 of coins. Okay, so 9 of coins. VIII. Yeah, it's the additive method. Instead of IX, we got VIII. But the numbers have always been on the sides. Here we have one number here on this side, and it's the subtractive method, IX, 10 minus 1. I wonder why they made that change. Probably because they thought, we're never going to be able to fit all this stuff in this card. So they just went with the small number here, maybe, perhaps. Could have been a very practical reason like that. I'm not going to, and here in the 10, no number. No numbers at all. Convert deck, we've got numbers. No numbers at all. Like, where are we going to put the number? Screw it. No number. But we still have now interesting, okay, something else that's interesting to me. Oftentimes people see this card as possibly, this is ready to pour, to fill the cups beneath. In this deck, we actually see some smudging going on where this card very much looks like there is wine flowing from this cup into this one. Can you see that? And these are kind of overflowing. So there's a lot of plenty in this card, to me. And here we go with the fin de coupe, valet de coupe. Okay, so cup is open, very clear. We've got the wrap, very clear. There's a wrap. It's not covering the cup. In some decks, this wrap covers up the cup. So you can't tell if there's a lid or not. And so it gets more confusing as to whether is this the page's hat or is it the cap to the cup. In this card, we don't know entirely. Looks like a cap to me, but some people see this as the cap to, the cap for the page, but some people see this as the cap to this cup. Now this actually looks more like a hat because I can't see this design matching this cup. Let's see if the Queen's cup is covered. Okay, yes, the Queen's cup is covered, and you'll see that this cap does not match the cap to her cup. This is probably the page's hat. Love the colors of the clothes, all very similar. Look at those calves. This page has been working out with very, very little feet. Love the hands as well. Very gentle look on the face. And here we go, Cabal di Coppe, the Chevalier de Coupe, open cups. Yeah? Very, very soft clothes. Now, you might be thinking, why does he keep saying that the faces on this deck look so gentle? Because the faces on this deck look gentle because Yoav Ben Dov deliberately redrew the faces to make them look more gentle. The traditional deck, they don't look as gentle as this one does. And this is a redrawing, a recoloring. It's cleaned up for a modern eye. This is not cleaned up for the modern eye. This is a facsimile. And the faces look so gentle to me. Look at the expression on this horse too. I don't know. This horse looks like the horse is flirting with us in a way. Hey there, handsome. What you doing? Hey, what you doing? To quote Joey Tribbiani. Okay, moving on to the Queen of Cups. Now notice, the cup on the Queen has a cap, and this cap matches the cup, and the cup on the page has no cap. This cap does not match the cup. I think this is definitely the page's hat. Moving right along to the Queen. Love the clothes. Love the open bodice. Now, just a moment. Something else I want to check. The open bodice. The queens with open bodices. I wonder if that is, if it's different by suit. Let's see. The Queen of, no, okay. So the Queen of Bastoni, open bodice. Let's see. The Queen of Denari, closed bodice. Okay, so when we come to the Queen of Swords, we'll have to look because it's clearly not, if you think of the cups and the coins as the passive or the receptive cards and the wands and the swords as the active cards, then these don't match. Yeah? We've got an active, passive, receptive, active, however you want to call those. But if the swords are a closed bodice, then we might have something else. Wands for me are passion, and which are sexuality. Cups are emotion and also love, right? So it could be the two sides of the sexual love spectrum. Whereas coins are a little bit colder. I mean, their work, their material, they're maybe a little conservative. And swords would be a little bit perhaps conservative as well. So let's see if that holds true later. Okay, I'm going to hold all the queens out on the side so that we can compare those in just a moment. Okay, so we got the closed cup. And notice, see how this banner looks very contiguous. It looks like this thing comes up and over her head. Yeah? Whereas these two look, because they're so different, they look like two separate banners. Like this one is something that is cutting off her vision, it's closing her off, it's protecting her, or ways to see that. You don't really see that so clearly on this. These look like two decorative banners on the wall to me. Although the cup is still closed, so there is that protective idea that we can get from this card still. Although her open bodice doesn't look very protective. I love the collar on it though. The bodice, oh, no, okay. So the Queen of Wands could be a pearl necklace, maybe. But this is definitely a fabric collar to me with an open bodice. Very, very fashionable, yes? Very trendy. Love her cape. Now we've got hair here and a beautiful cape coming down. Similar to the cape-like thing in the coins. Now the wands, okay, the wands has a cape too. Never mind. Moving right along to the king. I know I want to keep her up. Okay, so the king, we've got an open cup, but this open cup is much larger than the conver deck. Some people see this very teeny opening as meaningful. This cup opening looks like all the other cup openings. So I'm not sure that we'd read that the same way, although the cup does have a larger or longer stem. Hand on the belly, which is interesting. You know? Love this. Love the clothes in this deck. Even though the palette is more limited, is softer, not very vibrant, I love that softness. Moving on to the swords. Okay, so the Ace of Swords. Much closer view of this ace, yeah? We got the hand coming out from the same side, but a very large hand. The sword, we don't even see the bottom of the sword because of it. Because it's so large, it's taking up so much of the frame. We've got the two different plants. Although this one looks a lot more wilted than this one does. But it looks more natural than this one does, on the other hand. Interesting stuff. Love the jewels at the top. Beautiful. And now we notice that there are flames, energy, whatever you want to think of these things as, on both sides of the sword here, whereas here it's only on this side. This side is blank. Oh, look at that floral in the center. Not looking so floral, right? Looks less floral to me. More like something else. I'm not sure what it is. Looks a little, I don't know, a little vaginal to me. I mean, not really. I mean, nobody's vagina is exactly like this, but comparing this to a flower, it does not look like a flower. Interesting. Okay, sorry, my mind went off into a very odd place there for a while. Going on to the 3. Look at that. Very cool colored sword. The Ace of Swords was also this cool color, whereas the swords on the sides of the 2 and the 3 are the same. Yeah? The central swords are probably going to be this cool steel blue. How appropriate. Steel blue for a steel blade. Of course, they weren't calling it steel blue, that I'm sure. And we have the 4. The flower in the center. Stem is not bloody. But the color on the stem doesn't go all the way up, does it? Notice this. Flower, bud, or maybe leaves, I'm not sure. Flower, bud, or leaves. And here we have the 5. The 5. Okay. The color of the sword is changed to the brown. Interesting. Now, Bendov kept the red for the swords up through the 5s. Yeah, the swords have all been red in the Yoav Bendov's rendition of the Nicholas Conver deck. Here we had the color change already. And the hilt of the sword is is very abbreviated, right? This would be very uncomfortable to wield. If you've ever held a sword or worked with a sword, you'd notice that these hilts on these swords would be really, really uncomfortable to hold. They're very unbalanced. This is more comfortable looking. Here we have, where are we? 6. There you are, 6 with the flower in the center. Very similar. And we go to the 7. Oh, now that's interesting, right? We still got the red sword here in the center. Now the hilts change a little bit. This one had a yellow. This one has a red knob to the hilt. Does it have a yellow knob to the hilt? The 3 had a yellow knob to the hilt. So there are those changes in the Bendov deck. But this one, notice, starts off steel blue and then goes on to rust, persimmon. I don't know what you'd call that. Maybe dried blood at the tip. And this part of the hilt, the hand protecting part of the hilt, is different. Here we go with okay, good. The number is in the correct order, the 8, but there's no floral decoration in the center. Floral decoration. I did that deliberately. Going on to the 9. Let's see if the numbers are correct. Yes, the number is correct. Oh my God, they just barely got that sword in there, right? And again, we got the blue going to brown in the 9. Very interesting. No floral decorations. Yeah, just not enough room, I guess. And then what are they going to do for the 10? Okay, now that's interesting. So they got the 2 swords. They are crossed. They got 1 red sword and 1 steel blue sword. Or red, I shouldn't say red. 1 brown sword and 1 steel blue sword. Although the hilts are the same. The blades are different colors. 10 is there. Okay, yes. And also, remember, we had the additive numbering of the 9. Yeah, VIII. Instead of the IX, which was on the 9 of cups, right? The 9 of cups is the only one with this numbering. And then we go to the valet, or fin de spade. We gotta, now, okay, this does not look like a hilt to me. This looks like another sword. Because notice this doesn't look like a scabbard. The word is scabbard. This doesn't look like a scabbard to me. This has a sword with what looks like a hilt. Whereas this looks like a scabbard, right? There's no sword. There's no hilt up here at the top. This one's got a hilt. This one's got 2 swords. Looks like 1 sword and 1 scabbard. Interesting. Buttons on both sides of the center. I forget what we call that piece of clothing that comes down the center like that. But there's that piece of clothing. There's a name for that. And the buttons on both sides of it. And we go to the Chevalier d'Épée, the Caval. Okay, we go to Caval di Spade. Got it. Whoa, we got a sword here. We've got elbow guards. The helmet on this knight is kind of odd. Looks almost like a baseball cap turned backwards, if you ask me. They would not have thought that in Milan when this deck was created, but for us, that looks like a baseball cap turned backwards. Very nicely done. Beautifully done. Much simpler equipage for the horse. And the Queen of Spades. Look at spade, of swords. Look at that. Now, you can see the hilt in this queen, in the convert deck. It's really hard to see the hilt. And the hilt that is there is also the same color as the queen's hands. We got furs coming down. Okay, so queens, right. Queen of coin and queen of spades, both covered up. Although we do see some delineation of breasts, perhaps showing confidence in the conservatism. A bit conservative, but very confident. This queen is not covering up her breasts. But, I mean, they are covered with cloth, but they're not hidden as much as this queen's breasts. However, in the more romantic and passionate suits, the cups and the wands, the breasts are uncovered to a point. The bodice, the neckline is very, very low. We don't see nipple, but we're not far from seeing it, right? Okay, so that's an interesting thing. That's a very interesting thing. And Regina di Spadi, moving on to the king. Love her crown. Okay, now this king does not have epaulets on the side with faces in them. Just two different colors to the cape, looks like. We've got a collar around the cape, just like this one. We've got a big sword and a little sword, big sword, a little sword. Although this looks more like a wand and this looks more like a dagger to me. We got the crown and the hat, very similar, facing in opposite directions, something to notice. This king looks a little bit more ready to get up than this king does, to me. This king looks much more planted on the seat than this king does. Oh, beautiful. Notice this strap here, holding up the belt. Now this strap would go up around the shoulder and back down to hold up what looks like a belt around a skirt. Some of these kings look like they're wearing skirts to me. Well, just like this one. And maybe this is armored back here, just like this. So this is, I'm sorry, I just shook you up, didn't I? That was Gli antichi Tarocchi Italiani. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to zoom out a little bit so that I can get this. Oh, before I zoom out, now you notice the cards were stored separately, so there is that bit of a split here between the two sides of the deck, but that'll work itself out. And so, as far as deck thickness, standard US Games cardstock on the left with the Nicholas Conver, Yoav Ben Dov, and you'll notice that this cardstock from the Tarocchi Italiani di Gumppenberg is just a hair thicker on each card. So the deck is thicker. You can see that, right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to create a little bit more space, and we will try shuffling and pulling a couple cards. So be right back. Okay, so we're back, and I'm going to shuffle. Let's start with an overhand. Now, I actually don't have all that much space in here, but let me try doing an overhand here without shaking the table too much. So this is how I do my overhands. I can't do it this way. I'm going to have to do it this way. So that's not too difficult. Truth, I am not a good overhand shuffler. When I shuffle overhand, cards go flying into the stratosphere. So if they don't go flying into the stratosphere when I overhand shuffle, this is an easy deck to shuffle. Even though they're huge. Yeah, even though the cards are huge. Look at that. Okay, so that works pretty nicely. That works pretty nicely. Let's see what a riffle shuffle would be like. Let's see. I'm going to try my standard riffle shuffle. Ouch. Which is going to be a little bit difficult, to say the least. I can just barely get my hands around this, but that riffles very, very nicely. So if you have huge hands like I do, huge meaning long fingers, you wouldn't be able to do this all day, but for like shuffling for 1 one spread a day, definitely doable. Definitely doable. Let me do one more. This. Okay, so that's definitely doable. Now it's interesting. This deck is not cut exactly the same. Ooh, now that's not so swift. Yeah, I don't know if you can see this, but the cards are not the same height. Okay, so that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to shuffle. So what I'll have to do is do this, and then grab them to get. Okay, so I got the, whoa, now that makes things much more difficult. Makes things much more difficult. Shoot. Okay, so let me try that once more. So I'm doing this, get the tops flush, pick up this side in this hand with my finger in there. Then I would pick up this, then I pick up this side with this hand, getting that flush, and then, okay, so that's the size difference in these cards is a little bit not so making me happy. Let's see what it happens if I try to do a corner shuffle. That might be the way to go. This deck's a little bit stiff for doing a corner shuffle. A corner shuffle. Let me try that once more. So I split the deck in half. See if I can riffle shuffle the corners. Okay, that's possible. It's possible. It's not making me happy. That is not making me happy. Frankly speaking, that did not look good. It's also possible that over time, these cards will soften up and shuffling from the corners will be easier. I'm going to give it one last try. And it could be that just doing this on camera is making me less competent, but I don't know. Okay, so riffle shuffling is going to be a challenge, particularly because of the different sized cards. And I don't know if I can send them back to Italy. So I've got that. Let me do a couple more overhands and ask a question. What would we benefit from focusing on today? What is a message? What is a message? What is a... I'm not speaking English very well today. What message would we benefit from hearing today? Let's go with that. What is a message we would benefit from hearing today? And because these are not shuffled so nicely, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into 3 piles and pull the top card from each pile so that we've got a much more random selection going on. Okay, so last riffle, one more overhand. What is a message that we would benefit from hearing today? What is a message we would benefit from hearing today? 3 card spread. Cut the deck, pull the top card. You understand what we're doing, right? Okay, good. 1, 2, 3. So, top card. Left or Temperance. La Temperan. Oh, the Queen of Bastoni. And the Queen of Cups. Now you saw, I pulled from 3 different piles. We got 2 courts and a major. And you see that and remember, I was talking about these 2 a long time, wasn't I? That's probably how they came into the spread. I was giving them so much attention, they popped out. So what I'm getting from this is like the Temperance card. Now we've got the 2 pots. We got the 2 pots. Okay, I'm not referring to women as pots. However, we've got the 2 vessels. We've got 2 vessels. These echo the 2 vessels. Yeah, combining to create something new, and balancing and melding and integrating. That's what I get from Temperance, even in Tarot de Marseille. So that's what we want to do with our Queen of Cups and our Queen of Wands. Our passions and our emotions and our intuition and our creativity. We want to combine those and create something new. And we're not creating something new only for ourselves. The queens are nurturers. They're the ones confident, and they're the first real masters of their suit, of their element. And they're ones who can also look out on others and share their suit, their qualities with those around them, and mentor those around them, and receive from those around them. So, the Queen is often somewhat reserved, whereas the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Wands is not reserved, is very outgoing and a leader. So we combine that leadership and creativity that connects with other people with the somewhat reserved, emotionally protected, but compassionate one. We combine those and we can make magic. We can be magical. We can do the alchemy of creation beautifully in this way. And I think that's what we want to focus on right here and right now. Balance and combine our 2 queens. Isn't that perfect? So friends, I'd love to hear, what do you think of this deck? What do you think of it in action? Shuffling it was not the best, and probably over time I'll get more comfortable with that. What do you think of the cards? They're beautiful, I think. Let me know in the comments below. Are you interested in getting this deck? The book is in Italian, so if you don't speak Italian, it might not be as beneficial for you, but even just the cards, I don't think they sell the cards separately. Even just the cards, I think, are well worth the price. This is a beautiful deck. And the price is very reasonable. They are large. I suppose if you wanted to, you could trim this down. Although I seriously doubt that these are, well, they do look like they might be pretty well evenly printed on the cards. So you probably could trim these down if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that. Just so you know. But let me know in the comments below. What do you think of the deck? Are you thinking of getting it? Would you get it? Do you read Italian? I think if you do read Italian, this book is going to be a nice complement to this deck. So again, let me know. Hit the like button if you enjoyed watching this and enjoyed seeing these cards. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. And hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. I usually do 1 a week. I usually do 2 a week now, and sometimes more. Also, if you're interested in practicing Tarot de Marseille, I have a Tarot de Marseille group going. So I will put a link to my Facebook Tarot de Marseille group if you want to join and practice with us. If you do join, be sure to answer the questions for joining the group, in addition to agreeing to the rules. Also, I'm starting to offer readings. If you're interested in getting a reading from me, you can contact me on Instagram, and I'll put a link to that below as well. And again, comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I really would. And friends, now as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.